Welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Before we get started on today's reading, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, you can go down below into the description box. There's plenty of information on how to go about doing that. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this video. Before you on the screen, we have the different symbols to choose from. And once you've made the choice of your symbol, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one symbol if it comes through for you strongly today. And remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. I'll leave you to make the choice of your symbol. And once you've done that, down below are the timestamps to navigate to your reading. And I will see you in a moment. Welcome to symbol number 1. This is your reading, and we're looking at when you're going to get pregnant. So let's jump in, have a look and see what's going on. I'm going to start up here with the World and the Four of Pentacles. Good place to start in the past, and I definitely feel here that you're in a relationship with somebody. I do feel like this person is holding back on the idea of getting pregnant, and that they don't feel that now is the right time here in the past. It feels like they're controlling the subject by bringing it back to themselves in terms of what they hold to be true as far as whether this is the right time or not. And I feel like this person is saying that they don't feel ready to do this now, and that they want to get all the bases covered before that they actually sort of dive into that experience. I feel like this person is actually quite conservative and very measured in their response to what's going on, but also as a person, I feel like this is somebody who places security, stability, but also success at the center of their world. I feel like a lot of that is about the preparation of becoming pregnant and what it means to have a child. I feel like this person wants to have everything in place. I don't feel like this person is saying no to pregnancy. I just don't feel that this person is saying that it's the right. I just don't feel that they feel that it's the right time to be doing that now, here in the past. Money, security, housing, material, focus. This seems to be the priority for them in a way where I feel that they're not connecting with the feeling of what it means to have a child. Everything is very much about the practical preparation, the idea of what is it they think needs to happen in order to anchor this experience. And I feel that it's really, it's a very difficult thing to kind of break through that very logical mindset. I think at times it can be very easy to look at this person and think that they're actually being very selfish, that it's all about what they want. I do feel like this person has control of the narrative, has control of what's going on here in the past in a way where you can't push past what they think is right. And I do feel like their own personal goal setting is a part of this barrier. I think this person's idea of success and what they want for themselves is also a part of that. That could be to do with their job. It could be to do with their own personal goal setting in terms of what they think they want to achieve by a certain time, that this isn't necessarily a part of where they want to be from a logical sequence of their own agenda. If we come down here to the Star and the Two of Pentacles, I feel in response that you have really been trying to pull this person into focus in a very organic and natural way. I feel like you're trying to align values, align your focus with them in a way that tries to get them to see things from your own point of view, that you're trying to enmesh the experience in a way that makes this about us. I think you're much more in the moment. I think you're very different people. I think this person is very logical, methodical, very practical, very success orientated. I think you're by contrast much more in the moment, a lot more easygoing, very organic in terms of how you actually get to where you want to be. I don't think that you necessarily think that things have to make sense today. That's more about a feeling, and I feel that your inspiration is really here just to really go for it in a very uncomplicated way. That The finances will figure themselves out. We'll make it happen. We'll make it up as we go along. We don't need to stress about this. We don't need to get bogged down in what this means. I think you're also trying to point out that there's a great deal of importance in terms of being co-aligned about this, that you need to both be on the same page and that you need to feel it, that you need to be, I think that you need to be considerate of their point of view, but that they also need to be considerate of yours. I mean, like, what about my perspective? Aren't I valid here? I think there's a real push here in a very non-confrontational way to get this person to see things from your side of the experience. I think this person's very good at actually articulating what they want, and I think that they can actually be quite I think they can get very bogged down in that. I think they can really sort of dig their heels in and maybe become a little bit obstinate, a little bit bullish. It's like, this is what we need to do. This is the right thing to do. I think here with these two cards is definitely a focus on your health. I think you're saying here physically, I feel like this is the right time, that this is the best time. Maybe you're also saying here that your circumstances are actually really supportive of you in a way that really reinforces this focus of becoming pregnant. I think that you're just really wanting to be in the moment, and I think that you feel that this is really important to you, that it's, you're coming from things that are very different, from a very different space. But I feel like you're ready now, that this is something that you feel, it comes through in a very inspirational way. And that you feel that maybe this would actually draw the two of you close together, that the two of you would benefit from having a pregnancy right now. And I think that you're also sort of saying you're wanting to do this for us. Like, so you're being very inclusive in terms of your inspiration, your aspiration, even in your practical considerations. I think you're trying to look at this from both sides of the experience, whereas I feel like your partner or the person that you're wanting to have a child with is definitely thinking about you, but they're thinking about themselves as well. And they're also thinking about the bigger picture in terms of where this is going as a success-orientated objective. Coming over here to the Empress and the Four of Wands, I feel like in the here and now that your maternal instinct is in overdrive. Like, you're just here with the Empress. It's just like, and also with the Four of Wands. I mean, it's just, it feels like, in terms of productivity, reproductivity point of view, I just feel like you're firing on all pistons, that your instinct is just saying, I'm just so ready to do this, that you don't feel that you can wait for a moment longer. I think from a physical point of view, you just feel like you're receptive to it now. Like, this is it. Like, it just feels like you're primed. I think physically you are. I mean, I just feel like you're at this place in your world where you're just ready to fall pregnant. From a biological point of view, it feels like everything is just resonating for you, vibrating for you in a way that screams out, I want to have a child. But it goes deeper than that. I think from a more emotional point of view, I think that your heart is so in this in a way where you're saying, this is it. This is, I'm ready for this. And maybe also from a practical point of view as well. I feel like there's a lot of support around you at this point in time. For some of you, I feel like your mother comes up very strongly here. I feel like your mother is maybe wanting this, or that you feel that maybe you have support to be a mother. But I do feel for many of you that your mother plays into this in a way where I feel like maybe you want this to happen now for your mother. And it also feels very much about your maternal lineage. It's like you wanting to do this not only for your mother but also for your maternal line, and you want to kind of carry on this idea of extending your lineage, extending your family, having a family to show your mother, having to your family to show your grandparents, for example. It just feels like there's a lot of alignment happening here at the moment in terms of support, in terms of understanding. I feel maybe a lot of people are asking you, when are you going to have a child? When are you going to get pregnant? It feels like it's the word on your lips. It feels like it's the word on other people's lips. it feels like it's primed to happen. There is an expectation of it. I feel like you can't keep it to yourself as well. Like maybe you're telling everybody that that's how it is that you really feel. It's all things baby at the moment. I just feel that you're really focused on that in a way where maybe you're looking over what's going on in terms of just, child stuff, whether that's actually buying in preparation for having a child or figuring out how you're supposed to be a mother or drawing on information from other people like your mother about what it means to be pregnant. I don't feel like you could express it any more than you possibly are at the moment. It just feels like it's really peaking for you. And I feel that the universe is kind of almost like screaming at you, now is the time. I just felt also here that this is an experience that you just really very naturally and innately wanted to have. That it was as simple as I feel ready for this. But it is also wrapped up in a very kind of practical sort of support as well. I feel like maybe your job just is kind of positioned in a way where it could really support you to have a child at the moment. Maybe that means your work schedule or you've made certain of achievements in your career and now is the time to do it because it's just a really good space to be able to have a child or that you're in a really good job in a place where they would actually support maternity leave or having a child in a way that factors in or assimilates into your role. I think there are a lot of things going on for you that is sort of not just about, feeling it. It's about wanting it and about the practical underpinnings to actually do it. Up here with Judgment and the Six of Pentacles, I feel like there's a lot of intensive discussions going on with your partner at the moment in the current position. I feel like they're effectively. I feel like they're blocking you in a way that holds all of the cards. This person is refusing to budge from their position. Here with Judgment, I feel like you're kind of breathing down this person's neck and actually really trying to sort of point out, like, when are we going to do this? When is the time going to kind of be right for us to actually do this? And here with the Six of Pentacles, I just feel like this person is again talking about practical considerations, about the maybe cash flow, or about how this is supposed to balance in your world, about whether this is actually fair on them or fair on the overall picture of where you're at from a more material point of view. I feel like you're pressuring this person to try and understand your experience at a much more spiritual level, a much more emotional level. And I think this brings up a lot of conversations that are about whether this is fair or not. I think this person is saying that they still don't feel that it's the right time, that there are practical considerations. And I feel like you're saying in response to this person, but that's not fair. That's not actually listening to how it is that I really feel. I just feel that this person is not wanting to overstretch themselves or your circumstances in a way that makes it difficult to deal with, that brings up a lot of pressure in terms of judgment here. It feels that this kind of fuels or creates a lot of intensive discussion. It creates a lot of pressure within the relationship. And then I feel like the two of you are sort of out of balance. They have one point of view, you have another. I feel like this person is being very practical. I feel like you're being very spiritual. And you can see that here with these two cards. Judgment is definitely a spiritual card. I feel like you feel that this is a calling. I think you're wanting to rise up to this in a way that is just very natural. And this person is actually saying, no, I want to put on the brakes. We have to think about the balance of the situation in a way that understands that this could put too much pressure on us. And I think that you're interpreting what it is happening here in a way that senses that this person is blocking you from getting what it is that you want, because down here, you're feeling here with the Empress, like this is innate. This is intrinsic to who it is that you are in terms of every fiber of your being. It's not a logical decision. It's a maternal decision that comes from an instinctual drive, and just a very genetic or biological and spiritual feeling that now is the time to do this. I think you're trying to be fair with this person, but at the same time, I think that you're feeling that this argument is controlling something that feels very natural to you. You know, you're coming from an organic, natural, and very sensitive place that just feels like this is a natural next step, and you're wanting this to be a part of the both of you. And this person is constantly coming from a point of view that is very bogged down in something very material, and which is difficult to argue down, and it just starts to feel like everything is becoming really unfair, and there's a lot of pressure building in the relationship in a way that is taking away the spirit of this. You come over here to the Moon and the Queen of Pentacles, and I feel over here that in the outcome, in the next step for you in terms of the future, I feel a lot of uncertainty that starts to build up for you in a way that maybe gets into your emotions and drags you down. Here with the Moon, there's definitely a sense of being withdrawn, internalized, and feeling uncertain about where things are going. Here with the Queen of Pentacles, this practical focus is one that becomes very manifest in a way where you're sort of constantly thinking about the numbers, you know, the bank account, the arrangements that need to be made in order to actually bring a child into the world. It's almost as though you're absorbing this person's mindset and becoming very logical and divorcing yourself from this more innate sense of having a child. And I feel like this begins to bog you down in a way where you feel a little bit depressed. It's all about practical focus and preparation. And I feel like it does keep you going in some ways. I feel like there is like a healthiness in this. It actually does help you to mature and maybe make some considerations that you hadn't been making before. But I think that this kind of drives the feeling down in a way where it becomes a little bit suppressed. And as a consequence of that, I think you begin to ask some very serious questions about the relationship. You're trying to understand the logic of what it is they're trying to propose to you, but internally I feel like you're sort of feeling as though you're questioning where this is all going and whether it's actually going to happen, and feeling very depressed and upset that this isn't happening now. I feel like in some ways the only way to cope with that is just like really thinking like that. You know, it's about thinking about the things that keep you going, thinking about the benefits of what it is that you are doing practically to kind of give you something to work towards as far as an outcome. So there are positives in these two cards. It's like, you know, you are working towards this goal still. But it's a period of unhappiness. It's a period of uncertainty. You know, your spirit feels like it's been dampened down. You know, this idea of something happening really naturally, of the two of you being on the same page in a way that feels very organic, and where you're both in the spirit of it, just to kind of, you know, act out of inspiration. You know, it's about having a child naturally, as opposed to trying to construct this experience in a way that gives you the sense that you're doing it their way. And so from that point of view, I think that your energy and your mood and your enthusiasm really change. You know, like I think that you begin to change as a person. I think that your behavior becomes much more obvious in terms of not maybe feeling, because back here, you know, the Star and the Two of Pentacles, the Empress and the Four of Wands, you know, these are inspirational cards that are, you know, in overdrive in many ways, seeing enormous potential. You know, sparks are flying. You know, the juices are flowing, and you know, there's just a sense of growth and enormous potential in terms of where this can all go, and that all gets dampened down over here in the Moon and the Queen of Pentacles in a way where I think that becomes quite palpable, quite obvious that you're not happy. Up here to strengthen the King of Cups, I feel like this is going to turn a corner for you. And I just want to answer the question. I feel like you'll actually be pregnant within the year. Here with Strength and the King of Cups, I think this person is going to see how much it is that you're hurting, and that you've become very withdrawn in a way where they realize maybe they've actually asked too much of you. You know, here with the King of Cups, you know, is a card of love, compassion. It's somebody who loves you an enormous amount from a very core level. Whatever this experience has been, I feel like they turn a corner in a way where they come back to base of understanding their feelings to you. They unshackle themselves from all of the practicalities and come back to a place of feeling. I feel like love and compassion wins over this practical focus in a way that they're going to say to you that they want to have a child straight away. Here with strength. It's a card, another card of inspiration. It's passion. It's feeling. It's a card of health. This person is going to see that the health of having this now is right. The recognition of how much it is that they love you, understanding that they've been asking too much of you. I feel like they finally feel the true desire to have a child. So it's almost like they kind of find themselves through this experience, through stopping this from happening, through thinking or overthinking the practicalities of things, of asking too much of you in a way, builds an enormous amount of tension, but it also shows them something of you in terms of your commitment to them. And I feel that they'll see the sense in what is it you've actually been saying, and that they'll finally come to a place where the logic is dropped and the passion and inspiration begins to peak for them. And I feel that you find each other again in this experience in a way where in many ways this is a journey of rediscovery. Because I do feel back here with the World and the Four of Pentacles that this person has become lost in the relationship here in the past in a way where they're struggling, not struggling, but they're definitely prioritizing things that aren't about the center of the relationship. They're actually quite peripheral. I think you've been trying to say to this person for quite some time that we need to come back together in a place of feeling. And I feel that this person finds themselves again with you in a way where they identify their undying love for you, and that they want to have this child. So I feel this is a very much about honesty as well. You know, this person honestly finds themselves and for the feeling of wanting to have a child. So for me, this is a good outcome, a solid outcome. And I feel that the two of you will be pregnant within the year. For my Patreon followers, if you'd like to hold for a moment, I'll be with you in a second. Hi everyone, welcome to symbol number 2. This is your reading, and we're looking at when you're going to get pregnant today. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on. I'm going to start down here with the Hermit and the Ace of Pentacles. A good place to start for yourself. I feel like you've been waiting for a really long time here in a way that articulates patience. I don't feel like you're in a hurry to become pregnant. I feel like you're waiting for the right time. So this is less about the feeling you want to get pregnant and more about the circumstances. I feel like the desire to cross the threshold into being in the right place to have a child is really, really strong here. I feel like you've actually been waiting for this for a very long time. It's something that you do really want. I feel like this goes way back into your history. Adulthood, maybe even into childhood. I feel like this is certainly something that you want to experience, that you want to have, but I feel like you want everything to be in the right place before you do that. Here with the Ace of Pentacles, I feel like the opportunity for a better life is a big part of that picture in a way where financial security is a real priority for you at this point in time. I feel like there's, here with the Hermit, there's like this very, very deep considerations of what it means to set things up in a very practical way. I feel like you're working very hard here, and I feel like you have been historically working really hard to get all of your ducks in a row so that everything is securely in place and ready for you to be in a place where you can actually have a pregnancy, to have a child. I think you've been working on this for a long time. There's a lot of maturity here that comes here through with these two cards. I don't feel that you're just throwing yourself into the deep end in a way that just follows an instinct or a feeling. I feel like you have a very responsible adult way of looking at what it means to bring up a child. And I think there's context to that. I do feel here that you want your child to have the best possible start in life, that you want them to have everything that they need so that they can thrive. I don't feel that you want to be on the back foot in any way for yourself, but also I think very importantly, you don't want your child to be on the back foot. You don't want them to come into the world in a way where they're wanting for something that they can't have. I feel I feel like this has a lot to do maybe with your own history, but certainly your own observations of children, of maybe even for some of you, your own experience of maybe not having had enough um, to thrive in the world, where you've wanted for more, where you can see the disadvantages in bringing in a child without thinking about it through more thoroughly, more responsibly. I feel that this adds context and layer to this idea of developing an attitude as to having a child in a way that, yeah, brings it into the world with everything that it needs, that everything is firmly in place and secure, and that you've thought about covering all of your bases. So I don't feel like you're taking pregnancy lightheartedly. I do feel you're in a relationship here, I have to say that. If I come back here to Justice and the Ten of Cups, I feel, looking into the past on your timeline, I do feel like there's been a lot of weighing up in terms of the decision to have a child. I feel that this has taken place with yourself and the person that you're with. I feel like you've weighed up the decision together very seriously and questioned whether it's actually fair to bring a child into the world at that point in time. I feel that you've really drilled down into every aspect of what it means to have a child. Here with Justice, you really looked at the situation, your circumstances, your past, your present, your future. And I feel like you've concluded, yeah, I really do want to have kids. Like, having a family is really important to me. I think there's been very firm conclusions that this is the right thing, that this is the thing that you both want to do, but just not right now. That somehow... I don't feel the instinctual urge coming through here with any of the cards that I'm looking at. I don't feel a sense of maternity, whether that's maternal, whether that's paternal, whoever it is that you are. I just don't get this feeling welling up within you that says that I feel instinctually that this is what it is that I want to do. That's not overriding. That's not even on the radar. This is very logical and sequential in a way that I feel, in many ways, this is an analytical exercise, is to try and understand what the landscape is, mapping out what your circumstances are, what your finances are, materially, what's in place in order to have a child. So I do feel all of this has been like a really inclusive consultation with your partner, or maybe with your wider family, with your social group, or within yourself, in terms of just really dialoguing this out. I feel that it's a definite yes, I want to have a child, but it's just not right now. And I think it takes into consideration the totality of what it means to have a child. And I think that the conclusion here for me is one of fairness. It's saying that it's not fair for me to do this right now because these are my values. This is what's really important to me within our relationship, but also within the context of having kids. I don't feel that this is the right thing to do right now. It's not that we're not working towards that. In fact, if anything, it's laying down the foundations of understanding so that you can build a really strong foundation to actually get to where you want to be, so that you can actually make that happen. And I feel that's kind of where you're at the moment here with the Hermit and the Ace of Pentacles, is that you've been working a very long time with this understanding, with this agreement with your partner in a way that's really sort of, trying to get over that threshold. And I feel, again, here with Justice and the Ten of Cups, that you're saying that you don't want your children to be at a disadvantage, that you don't want your family to be at a disadvantage. You're feeling here with Justice the weight of responsibility. This is a very important driving factor that kind of makes your process happen. Up here with the Sun and the Knight of Wands, I feel that your partner, the person that you're wanting to have a child with, is a completely different place back here in the past, and a very different person to you. I feel like this person is saying that I'm really ready to have a child now. I get a huge degree of enthusiasm here with the Knight of Wands. The Sun is very much a card of children, the joy and happiness that brings to them in terms of the idea of that experience. I feel like they want this to happen now, that they're motivated, that they are mobilized in a way where they want this to take off. I feel a lot of enthusiasm here that just comes through very strongly, and I feel like their process is much more inspirational it's less about the logic, it's more about being in the moment and just feeling it through. I feel like this person is saying that it's right. Let's just do it now. We don't have to be so logical about making all of these decisions. And I feel that this person is saying that they feel that if a children was right there at the center of this experience here in the past, that it would be a game changer in terms of maybe bringing a lot of joy, a lot of happiness here with the son into the relationship that they have with you. But also they're saying, let's just go with the flow on this. We can make it up as we go along. I feel that the subject of children is something that's really important to them in a way. Whenever you talk about it, it just lights up their world. It lights up an inner light within themselves. They become very animated, very, very joyous within themselves. I think this is genuinely something that they really want and that makes them really happy. I think they just want to go for it, and that there is no inhibition here. There's no rationalization. There's no checks and balances in terms of thinking about the money, the security, the what ifs. I feel like the two of you are coming from very different places in terms of process, but also in terms of feeling. I feel like for you, it's not that you're denying your feeling, it's just that you don't see the sense in it because that's not where your feeling is. You're not saying that I'm not in the spirit of it. You're saying that you're wanting to lay down important foundations based on very recognized values that shape and form the security of your world and for the advantage of having a child for the long term. You're thinking about the long term here with the Hermit. You're not reacting to anything. You've really thought about this. If anything, you've really thought about this. Here with Justice and the Hermit, you've delved in deep into this subject. You know that this is something that you want, but you also see a lot of pitfalls in just kind of making it up as you go along. And your partner is somebody who has an adventurous spirit, and they want to explore this idea of parenting. They feel really enthusiastic about it. They're kind of switched on more instinctually, I think, in a way that just says, I feel that this is the right thing and that this will bring a lot of joy to us. I feel like they're constantly touching on the subject in a way that checks in with you. So even though you've concluded this, I feel the two of you have come together and made this conclusion that you are going to have a family, that this is something for the future. It's not right now. I still feel this person back here in the past is pressing that button, trying to have another conversation about it with you to see if you feel that maybe that's how you still feel, or whether you're kind of on the same page as them, or maybe if they can motivate you with their enthusiasm, with their... Maybe we're also here with the son, I kind of feel like there is a very playful spirit in this person. They're constantly playing around with the idea and playing around with you in a way that is dynamically trying to shift you along in terms of your process. I think they're trying to give you a sense of liftoff and potential as to things moving in a direction that they want them to move into. I don't feel that this person really sees that it's not safe to have a child right now in the past. I feel like they're saying now is good, Up here to the world, and the Ten of Swords. In the current position, I feel that this has evolved in a way where this person is feeling incredibly disappointed about the fact that you're not having a child right now. I feel like this person has become very internalized in a way where they're feeling that you're maybe robbing them of what is it they really want at this point in time, and that deflates the totality of their experience in the relationship. I feel like this person is playing victim. That they're kind of turning this thing that they really want around onto you in a way that says, you're not letting us do this. I think maybe inside within themselves, they're catastrophizing in a way that's saying, maybe this is never going to happen. If it is going to happen, when is it going to happen? And because you can't give them an answer directly about that being maybe now more inspirationally, they feel even more let down. I just feel that this person is very centered on this idea still of having a child in a way where all conversations kind of lead to that point, but it's kind of gone from being fun and dynamic and joyful and adventurous into something that is much more dramatized and internalized for them in a way that makes them feel that they're a victim in this situation. I feel like there's a lot of emotional blocks going on in terms of dealing with them, in dealing with the issues that are coming up, because they're holding things against you. It's like, you're not letting us do this. You're controlling the situation in a way that stops me from enjoying what I want to have in this world with you. And I don't feel that this person is able to kind of pick themselves up off the floor and kind of recenter the focus constructively. So it kind of causes this very conflicted experience with this person, where every time you have a conversation with them, it just becomes really negative, and it holds this energy over the relationship, over the experience of what you're trying to do here in terms of pregnancy, in a way that just becomes difficult to deal with. I feel like also for many of you, I would say that this person is holding you to account. They're blaming you. They feel betrayed by you. They're saying, and they've kind of really dug themselves into this mindset of kind of using that in a very manipulative way. I feel like this is like emotional blackmail. And I feel like for some of you, this person is definitely holding up an ultimatum and saying, well, I'm going to give you sort of, hard choices here. You're either doing this with me, or you're not doing this with me. And if you're not doing this with me, then maybe we need to reevaluate the relationship. I feel like the subject just hangs over the both of you in a way that's very heavy. I feel like this person is going through a very difficult time, that they feel very empty without the idea of children, because I think there is certainly context here. I feel that you are a much more considered and sustained, mature individual who holds a framework of patient application to a goal, and I feel that you see the idea of having a child is a part of that, that it is a goal, that it is something that you're working towards, and that you need to be very considered in terms of what that gives you. This person is wanting to make it up as they're going along and just kind of acting out of inspiration. I don't feel that there is I don't feel this person is sort of forecasting in an analytical or rational way as to what it means to have a child in the way that you are. I think they're happy just to kind of jump in at the deep end and make it up as it goes along. And as a consequence of that, I feel that they do really feel that that is something that feels right to them, and that they are being denied that experience. I think they genuinely feel very empty about this idea of just not knowing when that's going to happen. If we come over here to the Devil and the Four of Pentacles, the timeline for me about having a child is 3 to 4 years. And I feel like that's actually based on what you want for yourself and for the relationship and for the child. I think that by about this point here in the future, moving into that experience over the next number of months, that, this has placed an enormous amount of tension on the relationship, and that sticking to your guns about what it is that you want, because I don't feel that you're going to fold to this ultimatum or fold to this dramatization of the subject. I feel like you're really, if anything, you'll double down and sort of say, this really proves that we need stability, not only from a kind of a practical point of view, but also from a relationship point of view. And that maybe you're wanting to qualify the relationship a little bit more in terms of really understanding whether it's safe and secure to have a child with this person. I feel like you're going to refuse to budge, and that your realistic timeline, based on what you see as evidence in your overall circumstances, is one where you're saying that 3 to 4 years is really realistic, and that it gives time for the relationship to maybe adjust in a way that gives you confidence that this is actually going to be the person that you want to have a child with. And I also think that there are other factors that are included in this. That I feel like your ambition, your financial consolidation aims, I feel like these are really important as well, in a way that you're just saying, this is a realistic timeline for me to work towards. And I feel that you're okay with maybe being seen as really selfish within the relationship, in a way that says, these are my hard lines. Like, you've got your hard lines, I've got my hard lines. I don't feel that you're coming from opposite ends here in a way that are unrealistic. I feel like the two of you both hold valid positions in terms of what it is that you want and for the reasons that you want them. But at the end of the day, I just don't feel that you're saying that you're ready here. Like there is, it's not just about the instinctual reaction. It's also just about you saying, I'm not ready to do this right now. And I feel that you're saying, I need more time here in the future. I'm not ready to have kids. This is how I feel. This is what it is that I really want. And I refuse to bring a child into a situation where there is uncertainty hanging over its head, especially about a relationship. And I feel like you're saying 3 to 4 years to work everything out in terms of the relationship and these other objectives is something that I'm prepared to commit to, but I'm not just going to have a child because you want to have a child. Coming up here to the Fool and the Ten of Pentacles, I do feel that this person is going to really turn a corner in a way where there's a new beginning and that they let go of these very idealistic projections as to what is it they want. I do feel that the feeling will dissipate or evaporate to some degree. Here with the Fool, I feel like this person will let the issue go. I feel like they will kind of start afresh in a way where they loosen up, and maybe that they even see that their own ideas about what it means to have kids right now is being maybe a little foolish, maybe that they haven't thought things through. It's coupled with the Ten of Pentacles, which is a huge card of consideration in terms of family and security. I feel like this person is still driven to have a child, but I think also I kind of feel like this person is going to get distracted by other things. I just feel like they're kind of pointing in a very different direction, where their passion, where their inspiration is drawn into other subject matters. I felt this person was happy to pursue other objectives in the interim period. I also feel that their hard lines really loosen up here with the Fool in a way that allows them to be much more flexible around the idea about what it means to settle down and have a child. But I also see here that they actually see sense in the idea of security for family life, and that maybe this is something that they do need to focus on in a way that gives greater understanding as to what it is that you're actually trying to achieve here. So I do feel that the two of you are going to come together through this period. And I would have said over the next 3 to 4 year period that the two of you are aligning on really important values, the driving factors of what it means to have a family. I feel have come from very opposite ends, but I kind of feel like you're kind of finding each other within this process in terms of getting ready to have a child. I do feel that this person will go more with the flow. Okay, I kind of feel like they're much more accepting of you and where it is that you're at. They've realized that holding an ultimatum is not the answer, that they need to loosen up, and that if they want to actually achieve this goal with you, that they actually have to go with the flow. I feel like the optimism about the next new phase in their life, about what it means to have a family, it kind of regenerates in a way where this is kind of like the birth of a new reality based on joint values. For me, I feel that pregnancy will happen in a 3 to 4 year time frame. I don't feel that you're ready to have a child right now. I feel that you actually have a very important process of not only consolidating certain aims and objectives that are very practically based, but also I feel there's a little bit of stuff to work out here in the relationship that actually arrives you both at a point where you're on the same page and ready to actually have a child. For my Patreon followers, if you would like to hold for a moment, I'll be with you in a second. For everybody else, if you want to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who is I am, what is I do, and how you can access my service as a